Okay, so get ready because this deep dive is a little bit different than usual.
Cool.
Yeah, a little intense even, I would say.
Yeah.
Because today we're going to unpack a full astrological report in a tarot reading
Oh,
focused on the full moon and lunar eclipse in Virgo on March 14th, 2025.
right.
And this one is specifically for all you Pisces out there.
Sounds like it's going to be pretty intense, yeah.
You're telling me we're talking about Lorenzo,
Oh, Lorenzo.
the astrologer whose predictions, well, they tend to make waves, to say the least.
Yeah, they do.
And this report, let's just say he did not hold back at all.
Oh, my.
This is not your typical feel-good horoscope, you know what I mean?
Right.
Lorenzo's readings are about power, truth,
Yeah.
and the unavoidable shifts that are happening in the universe.
Eclipses can be like that, can't they?
Exactly.
They kind of force us to face what we've been avoiding.
They really do. And Lorenzo really emphasizes that this particular eclipse is a huge turning point for Pisces, a time of reckoning and hopefully
Right.
a major breakthrough.
Fingers crossed.
So no sugarcoating. Today, we're going to present Lorenzo's report exactly as it is, word for word,
Okay.
because he chose his words very carefully. Then we'll dive into some of the astrological meanings behind all of this
Okay.
and how those might play out in your life.
I'm ready.
All right, Pisces, here is Lorenzo's report for the full moon and lunar eclipse in Virgo on March 14th, 2025.
Okay.
Pisces, this is not your average full moon. This is an eclipse, a reset button the universe slams down whether you're ready or not. It's not about what you want. It's about what must happen. And if you're not in alignment, this energy will rip through your life like a storm you never saw coming.
He's not messing around, is he?
No, he is not.
That sense of inevitability of forces beyond our control, that's classic eclipse energy.
Exactly, he goes on to say.
Okay.
For you, Pisces, this eclipse is surgical. It's precise, calculated, and doesn't give a damn about your comfort.
Wow.
It's cutting away illusions, forcing clarity and making you see.
Okay.
That means relationships, self-image, purpose, everything is getting a reality check.
Yeah.
This isn't just a wake-up call. It's a cosmic intervention.
So this isn't about gentle nudges from the universe.
Right.
More like a cosmic 2x4 to the head.
Yeah.
hit to get your attention.
Yeah.
It's interesting he highlights that precision, of this eclipse.
Right.
Virgo is all about details, analysis, getting things right.
Yes.
So this isn't a time for sweeping things under the rug or pretending everything's fine.
No kidding. And then he goes on and dives right into his first point.
Uh.
The reckoning in your relationships,
Yeah.
7th house eclipse.
Okay.
He writes, your partnerships are the battlefield.
Yeah.
The people you trust, the ones you rely on, the contracts you're bound to, it's all under the scalpel.
Ooh.
If something has been rotting under the surface, it's coming up now. If you've been tolerating disrespect, avoidance, or self-sacrificing for someone who gives you breadcrumbs,
Oh, boy.
prepare for the final verdict.
Intense, but astrologically it makes sense.
Yes.
The 7th house rules are one-on-one relationships,
Right.
romantic partners, business partners, even open enemies.
Right.
So this eclipse is shining a spotlight on basically all your closest connections.
It really is, and it sounds like it's going to be pretty brutal for some Pisces.
Yeah.
Lorenzo doesn't hold back, does he?
Not at all.
Here's what he says next.
Okay.
Justice is at play here. Fairness. Balance.
Yeah.
If you've been giving too much, you're about to snap. If you've been taking too much, expect repercussions. The cycle must be broken. And if you don't do it, circumstances will force your hand.
I'm sensing a theme here.
Right.
This eclipse is about facing reality, about taking responsibility
Yes.
for the choices we've made in our relationship.
Right, yeah.
About making adjustments where needed, It can be painful. But ultimately, it's about creating more balanced and fulfilling connections.
I think you're right. And then he really lays down the law here.
Okay.
This eclipse isn't asking you. It's telling you. Either demand what you're worth
Okay.
or watch everything slip away.
Wow, that's a wake-up call.
Yeah,
But, there's a message of empowerment there, too.
I think so.
It's about recognizing your worth, setting boundaries in your relationships. This
Yeah.
isn't about being selfish.
Right.
It's about creating healthy dynamics where everybody involved feels valued and respected.
Yes, I agree with that.
Okay, what's next?
Next up is the unstable fire of passion versus control. Sextile to Mars in the 5th house.
Okay.
Lorenzo writes, this aspect is a fuse lit at both ends. Your desires are amplified. Lust, creativity, impulsivity, risk-taking, it's all on steroids.
Uh-oh.
If you've been suppressing something, it's about to explode.
Okay, so things are heating up.
Uh-huh.
With Mars involved, it's no surprise we're talking about passion and desire. The fifth house is where we find our creativity, romance, our pleasure seeking. So this eclipse could bring a surge of creative energy,
Right.
a whirlwind romance, or even just a strong urge to finally do something you've been putting off for too long.
I think that's right. And then he follows up by saying,
Yeah.
and here's the catch. This could either fuel your greatest breakthrough or ignite self-destruction.
Yeah.
If you let resentment, jealousy, or frustration run wild, you'll burn bridges you can't rebuild.
Yeah.
If you harness this fire, you'll finally take the risk you've been avoiding. The project, the romance, the pursuit of what you actually want.
It's true. Mars can be a bit of a wild card.
Yeah.
It's powerful energy, but it needs to be channeled wisely.
Right.
It's like having a race car.
Yeah.
You can either drive it with skill and precision, or you can crash and burn.
Yeah, you got it. And then Lorenzo really drives at that point home.
Okay.
He says, your heart is screaming, love now. Stop hesitating.
Yeah.
But if you don't channel this energy with precision, you could create chaos you can't control.
So it's go for it.
Right.
But think before you act.
Haha, exactly. All right, so things are about to get really real here. Lorenzo's next point is titled, The War Between Fantasy and Reality. Opposition to Saturn and Neptune in the first house.
Okay.
He writes, here's the cold, hard truth. You can't keep fooling yourself. The excuses you've made, the dreams you've clung to without taking real steps, the self-deception. The mirror is being held up to your face.
Oh, boy.
And what you see might not be pretty.
That's got to sting a little bit.
Yeah.
But with Saturn and Neptune in opposition in the first house,
Right.
it's not a surprise that there's a focus on self-deception and the need to really face reality.
Right.
The first house is all about our identity, how we present ourselves to the world.
Right.
And Saturn is the planet of, reality checks,
Yeah.
while Neptune is the planet of illusions.
Right.
So this eclipse is forcing you to really look in the mirror and see yourself clearly,
Yeah.
flaws and all.
I can only imagine how intense that would be for some people.
Yeah.
Nobody really likes to admit they've been fooling themselves, right? But Lorenzo makes it clear that this is a necessary step. Saturn is locking down reality. No more escapism, no more maybe later. It's time to commit structure and take control of your own damn life. The illusions that have kept you stuck, gone.
Just no more hiding in your dream world, Pisces.
Right?
It's time to get real and start taking some concrete action.
Yeah.
And, I think that take control of your own damn life part is really key here.
Yeah.
This eclipse is about empowerment, about recognizing that you have the power to shape your own destiny.
Yes. Yes. And yet he acknowledges that this is not going to be easy.
Right.
Neptune, however, is trying to pull you back into the fog. The denial, the wishful thinking, the fear of facing the truth. It's tempting.
Oh, yeah.
But if you take that bait, you will drown in your own stagnation.
Classic tug of war, isn't it?
Yeah.
Between that desire for comfort and security and the need for growth and change.
Yeah. And then Lorenzo delivers this line that feels like a punch to the gut.
Okay.
This is a make or break moment. You either wake up and own your life, or you keep lying to yourself and watch your power dissolve.
He's really putting the responsibility squarely on your shoulders.
Yeah.
But I think there's a message of hope there, too.
I do too.
It's about recognizing you have the power to choose your path, to create the life you want. But that choice starts with facing reality and taking ownership of your actions.
Absolutely. All right, Pisces, I know that was a lot to process.
It was.
We're only halfway through Lorenzo's report,
My goodness.
and he's already dropped some major truth bombs.
He has.
So we need a moment to unpack all of this before we jump into the next part.
Definitely take a deep breath, ground yourself.
Yes.
And we'll be back in a moment to dive into the rest of Lorenzo's predictions.
Welcome back, Pisces. Ready for more?
Oh, there's more.
Because Lorenzo's got a lot more to say about this eclipse and what it means for you. He sure does. And just when you think it can't get any more intense,
Right.
there's a glimmer of hope.
Oh.
Lorenzo's next point is the genius breakthrough that changes everything. Trying to Uranus in the third house.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
Okay, he writes, amid all this chaos, there's a wild card. A flash of insight that shifts everything.
Okay.
A message, a realization, a sudden idea, something unconventional but brilliant, that could be your way out.
Ooh, a wild card? That sounds promising.
Yeah.
And with Uranus involved, we know to expect the unexpected.
Right.
It's the planet of innovation, disruptions, sudden breakthroughs.
Yes, exactly. And then Lorenzo gets super specific. He says,
Yeah.
if you've been feeling mentally trapped, this aspect is your golden ticket, but only if you act on it. If you dismiss it because it's too weird, too risky, or not part of your old plan, you'll regret it.
So pay attention, Pisces. This could be a life-changing opportunity.
Yes.
And with Uranus and Taurus, there's a practical, grounded energy here. It's not just about having a brilliant idea. It's about taking action.
Right.
And making it happen in the real world.
Exactly. And he goes on to say, this isn't the time to follow old rules. This is the time to trust the unconventional, a new approach, a new mindset, a new way of communicating. Your voice matters now. If you don't speak up, someone else will, and they'll take the opportunity meant for you.
So it's not enough to just have the idea. You have to act on it.
Yes.
You have to share it with the world.
Yeah.
This could be a time for Pisces to really step into their power.
I agree.
To speak their truth and make their mark.
Absolutely. All right, buckle up, Pisces, because Lorenzo is about to deliver a dose of tough love.
Oh boy, here we go.
The final karmic test. South Node eclipse in Virgo.
Oh.
He writes, this eclipse is closing out a karmic cycle, and there are no second chances. If you've been clinging to outdated habits, playing small, hiding behind perfectionism, or controlling everything out of fear, it's all getting stripped away. You can either release the past willingly or get dragged through the fire.
Okay, this is where it gets real.
Right.
The South Node represents our past, our karmic baggage.
Yes.
And with the eclipse hitting it, well, that past is coming up for review, whether we like it or not.
He's really making it clear that this is not optional.
Yeah.
This is a time for letting go of those patterns and behaviors that have been holding you back.
Absolutely. And with this eclipse in Virgo,
Right.
there's a real emphasis on purification, on getting rid of what no longer serves you.
Yeah.
Virgo is all about discernment, analysis, and cutting to the chase.
And just to hammer home the point, Lorenzo says, this is a reckoning with your own self-sabotage. The behaviors that have kept you stuck, the people you've clung to out of obligation, the old versions of yourself you refuse to let go of. It's time to cut the cord. Now.
So I'm sensing a theme here.
What's that?
This eclipse is about taking responsibility, stepping into your power.
Yes.
And making choices that align with your highest truth.
Right. No more excuses.
Yeah.
No more playing small. It's time to step up, Pisces. And then he delivers his final warning.
Right.
Which is, well, pretty intense.
Okay.
He says, and if you don't, the universe will do it for you. And it won't be gentle.
Wow.
Okay, before we move on to the next section, let's take a breath and talk about what all this means for Pisces on a practical level.
Yeah, definitely, because we've heard a lot of big, intense concepts. And it's important to understand how these energies might actually play out in your life.
Right.
So Pisces, if you're a Pisces who's been feeling stuck in a rut, this eclipse could be the catalyst you need to make a change.
Right.
It's a time to get honest with yourself about what's no longer working.
Yes.
And to start taking steps toward creating the life that you actually want.
If you've been avoiding dealing with some difficult issues in your relationships, this eclipse is going to bring them to the surface.
Right.
But that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
It's an opportunity to clear the air, to set some boundaries, to create more balanced and fulfilling connections.
Exactly. And remember, Pisces, this eclipse is also bringing a huge opportunity for creative breakthroughs and unexpected insights. So pay attention to any sudden ideas or inspirations that come your way. Don't dismiss them as too weird or too risky.
Right.
This is the time to trust your intuition and go for it.
All right. Are you ready for more?
I am.
Because Lorenzo is about to break down the astrological details of this eclipse.
Let's do it.
He calls this section, Breaking Down the March 14th, 2025 Full Moon Lunar Eclipse in Virgo. Astrology, Tarot, and Karmic Energies Explained.
Bring it on. This is where we get to geek out on the planetary alignments.
I know.
And the tarot symbolism. I love this stuff.
Me too. Okay, here's what Lorenzo says. Now let's get into the technical breakdown. This eclipse is a massive karmic reset. And when you decode its planetary alignments and tarot associations, the message gets even sharper. This is about divine justice, ruthless clarity, and the collapse of illusions that have kept you stuck.
He's not kidding around, is he?
No, he's not.
So let's break this down point by point.
All right.
Starting with the full moon and lunar eclipse in Virgo.
Okay.
which is represented by the 10 of Pentacles in the 7th house of Justice.
All right, here's what Lorenzo says. Shaban, full moon, and lunar eclipse in Virgo. 10 of Pentacles in the 7th house. The theme, karmic rebalancing in relationships. Who you trust, who you commit to, and whether your connections are truly serving your higher path. Tarot message. Justice plus 10 of Pentacles. You reap what you sow. If you've built something solid, it stands. If it's built on lies, it collapses. Impact. The 7th house rules one-on-one partnerships, contracts, commitments. Expect revelations about who's genuinely on your side and who's been an anchor dragging you down. If you're in a relationship or a business partnership, this could be the moment of truth. Virgo energy is about cleaning up the mess, analyzing, and cutting out the dysfunction. No excuses, no emotional attachment. It's surgical. Justice says decisions must be made.
Okay, so much to unpack here. First, the full moon and lunar eclipse in Virgo.
Right.
Full moons are always about culmination, about
Yeah.
things coming to a head, and a lunar eclipse just amplifies that energy,
Right.
bringing things to a climax or even a breaking point. Then we have Virgo, which is all about discernment, purification, getting things in order.
Yeah.
So with this eclipse in Virgo, it's
Right.
like the universe is saying, okay, Pisces, time to get real about your relationships
Yeah.
and cut out what's no longer serving you.
And the 10 of Pentacles in the 7th house of Justice just adds another layer to that message.
Right.
The 10 of Pentacles represents family, legacy, and long-term stability.
Yeah.
It's about building something solid, something that can withstand the test of time.
Exactly.
But it can also represent those structures that we've outgrown, those relationships that are no longer serving our highest good.
Right. And with the Justice card in the mix,
Yes.
it's clear that there's a karmic balancing act happening here.
Right.
What you've sown, you shall reap.
Okay, on to the next point. Lorenzo writes, sextile to Mars, the Tower. In Cancer, the Chariot. In the 5th house, the Sun, the theme. The raw force of emotion meets the need for control. Your passions, anger, and suppressed desires demand to be expressed. Tarot message. The Tower plus the Chariot plus the Sun. Explosive truth brings clarity. Impact. The 5th house is about creativity, romance, self-expression. And Mars in Cancer means your emotions are boiling over. If you've been suppressing a truth, you might lose control and spill everything in one fiery outburst. The Tower brings a sudden shakeup, but the Chariot tells us you must take control of the destruction and direct it towards something productive. Will you use this energy to fuel a bold move, or will you implode?
Whoa, that's a lot of energy to handle.
Yeah.
We've got Mars, the planet of action and aggression,
Yeah.
forming a sextile to the eclipse. And
Ah.
it's activating the 5th house of creativity and self-expression.
And then we have those tarot cards.
Right.
The Tower, the Chariot, and the Sun.
Exactly. The Tower represents sudden upheaval, a breaking down of old structures.
Yeah.
It can be scary, but it's often necessary for growth and transformation.
Right.
The Chariot is about willpower, control, directing your energy towards a goal.
Yes.
And the Sun is about vitality, self-expression, shining your light.
Right.
So this is definitely a time for big changes, for
Mhm.
breaking free from limitations, and
Yes.
for stepping into your power.
But he makes it clear that this energy can be destructive if it's not handled carefully.
It can be, yeah.
Will you use this energy to fuel a bold move, or will you implode?
That's a powerful question.
It is.
And it's a choice that each Pisces will have to make for themselves.
Yes.
Do you succumb to the chaos?
Right.
Or do you harness this energy and use it to create something amazing?
Welcome back to the deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground with Lorenzo's predictions for Pisces during this very intense eclipse.
We have.
Are you ready to see how it all might actually play out?
I know, I am. This is where Lorenzo's insights really come to life.
He calls this section the Eclipse Reckoning, a story of truth, illusion, and fate. And he's created these fictionalized scenarios
Oh, cool.
to illustrate the different ways that these energies might manifest in your life, Pisces.
So it's like getting a sneak peek
Yeah.
into your potential future.
Exactly. So let's dive in. Lorenzo starts with this really evocative scene setting.
Okay.
The air was thick with an unseen force, as if the universe itself had stopped breathing. On the night of March 14th, under the cold silver glow of a full moon, an invisible hand was rewriting destinies. The sky held its breath as the eclipse loomed, a silent witness to what was about to unfold.
Oh, I'm getting chills already. You can really feel the weight of this eclipse, the
Right.
sense that something really big is about to happen.
And then he introduces the first character, Sophia. He writes, 1. The House of Mirrors, the 7th house eclipse. Sophia stood in front of the mirror, her fingers tracing the tired lines beneath her eyes. The reflection staring back at her was no longer a mystery, it was a verdict. For years, she had lived in a relationship that looked perfect on the outside, stable, predictable, respectable. But tonight, the eclipse whispered the truth. It was a lie.
Okay, wow. Sophia's story perfectly illustrates that seventh house eclipse energy.
Right.
With all those karmic contracts and power imbalances coming to the surface.
It's like the eclipse is stripping away the facade,
Yeah.
forcing her to see the relationship for what it truly is.
Yeah.
And then Lorenzo adds this. Virgo's precision sliced through the facade. Every ignored red flag, every silent scream swallowed in the name of peace, every moment she convinced herself she was happy laid bare under the judgment of the justice. And now the verdict was in. Stay and rot, or walk and reclaim herself.
He's not mincing words, is he?
Nope, not at all.
Sophia has a choice to make,
Yeah.
and the stakes are high. Stay in a relationship that's no longer serving her, or walk away and reclaim her power.
Talk about crossroads. Next up, we meet Leo,
Okay.
2. The fire below, Mars in the 5th house.
Yeah.
Anger, passion, desire, a storm brewing beneath the surface. Across the city, a man sat in a dimly lit room, his hands gripping the edges of his chair. His name was Leo, and he had spent the last year denying what he truly wanted. The expectations of others, the walls of tradition, they had become his prison. But something inside him was shifting, a fire rising from his core. This wasn't just rage, this was awakening.
This is giving me major Mars in the 5th house vibes.
Oh, yeah?
All that pent-up energy, those suppressed desires. It's like a volcano about to erupt.
I agree. And then Lorenzo says this. The eclipse whispered. What are you waiting for? Take it. Do it. Say it. But Mars doesn't give choices. Mars demands action. The leash was snapping. And if Leo didn't make a move, the fire inside him would burn him alive.
So he's got a choice to make, too.
Yeah.
Keep suppressing his desires, or finally break free and go after what he really wants. Sounds like there's no middle ground.
Now we meet Alina.
3.
The collapse of illusions. Saturn and Neptune in the 1st house. On the other side of the city, a woman named Alina sat in her apartment clutching a bottle of wine. She had always been the dreamer, the one who believed in fate, in destiny, in the magic of the universe. She had built her world around beautiful illusions, one for love, one for success, one for herself. But tonight, the illusion shattered.
Oh, Alina. This is the Saturn-Neptune opposition in the 1st house playing out in all its heartbreaking glory.
Right.
It's like the rug has been pulled out from under her,
Yeah.
and she's realizing that her whole life has been built on a foundation of fantasy.
Yeah, and the way Lorenzo describes it is so vivid. Saturn stood over her like a cold judge, pulling the rug from under her feet. Neptune, the old trickster, had finally run out of games. She wasn't the person she thought she was. The hanged man dangled above her head, whispering, "Stop resisting. Stop running. Look at yourself." The eclipse didn't care about comfort. It didn't care about her dreams. It cared about truth. And the truth was this. She had been lying to herself for far too long.
That's got to be a tough pill to swallow, but I also sense a glimmer of hope there.
Right.
Once the illusion is shattered,
Right.
there's space for something new to emerge, something more authentic, something more aligned with her true self.
Absolutely. Sometimes we have to hit rock bottom before we can truly rebuild.
Right.
And that's what this eclipse is offering, Alina.
Mm-hmm.
A chance to start over, to create a life that's based on reality rather than fantasy.
All right, let's see what happens next.
Here's Elias. 4. The unexpected spark. Uranus in the 3rd house. Somewhere in a crowded cafe, a man named Elias scrolled mindlessly through his phone. Another day, another routine. But tonight, something different happened. A message appeared at a random email, a sudden idea, a shockwave of inspiration. At first, he brushed it off. Too unrealistic, too risky. But Uranus whispered, what if this changes everything? A trine is grace, a gift, a door opening. And tonight, Elias had a single moment to decide, stay where he was, safe and stagnant, or follow the spark and step into the unknown. Most people ignore these moments.
Yeah.
Most people cling to what they know. But Elias wasn't most people. He took a deep breath, and he clicked send.
Now, this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Elias is experiencing the Uranus trine to the eclipse,
Yep.
that sudden flash of insight that could change everything.
It's like a bolt from the blue, a divine download of inspiration.
Yeah.
And the fact that he chooses to act on it, that's where the real magic happens.
That's it, exactly. Because so often we get these amazing ideas,
Right.
but then we let fear or doubt talk us out of it. Elias is choosing to trust his intuition and take a leap of faith.
And last but not least, we have this unnamed character. 5. The Karmic test. South Node in the 7th house. Somewhere in the world, someone was facing the same situation they had always faced. A relationship that felt safe, but strangled them. A toxic habit they couldn't let go of. A past life pattern they had repeated so many times that it had become their identity. And the South Node whispered, "Are you really going to do this again?" But the devil's grip was strong. Fear, guilt, familiarity. These things keep people trapped. The hermit watched from the shadows, waiting. Justice held the scales, waiting. Would they choose the future, or would they fall back into the past?
This is the South Node eclipse in action,
Right.
the ultimate karmic test.
Yeah.
Will this person finally break free from the cycle of suffering?
Mm-hmm.
Or will they succumb to those familiar patterns that have kept them bound?
And the way Lorenzo describes it is so powerful.
Yeah.
With the devil representing those chains that bind us.
Right.
The hermit urging introspection and justice demanding balance.
It's like the universe is holding its breath,
Yeah.
waiting to see what choice this person will make.
And then he brings the story to a close with this. The eclipse closes in. The moon swallowed the last of the light. The eclipse reached its peak. For some, it was liberation. For others, it was a reckoning. For all, it was a choice. A door had opened. But would they walk through it? Or would they stay behind and watch it close? Final verdict. The eclipse doesn't wait. The eclipse doesn't negotiate. You face the truth now, or it destroys what you refuse to see. The clock has run out. Choose wisely.
It's almost like a Greek tragedy, isn't it?
Yeah.
The fates have spoken, the die is cast,
Yeah.
and now it's up to each individual to choose their destiny.
And the way he emphasizes that, the eclipse doesn't wait,
Right.
really drives home the point that this is a critical moment for making decisions, for taking action.
Absolutely. This isn't a time for procrastination or second guessing.
Right.
It's a time to trust your gut and go for it.
Okay, so now that Lorenzo has brought these astrological concepts to life through these powerful stories,
Right.
he moves on to a section he calls the hidden code of this eclipse, what no one else sees.
Ooh, I'm intrigued.
What's he got up his sleeve now?
Exactly.
He starts by saying, every astrologer and tarot reader is going to talk about karmic cycles, the need for release, and the chaos of a lunar eclipse. But they're all missing something massive, something that changes everything. This isn't just an eclipse. This is a karmic transfer of power.
A karmic transfer of power. That sounds intense.
It is, he goes on to say, the hidden shift no one is talking about. Power is changing hands. Look deeper into this eclipse, and you'll see it's not just about endings. It's about who gets to control the narrative next. Think about it. This eclipse isn't just activating your relationships. It's exposing power imbalances that have shaped your entire fate. Who has been making the decisions in your life? You or the people around you? Who benefits from you staying stuck? What forces, whether people, beliefs, or fears, have been dictating your reality? Here's the truth. Somewhere in your life, you have been under a spell. That spell has been convincing you that your fate is already written, that your relationships, your career, your identity have all been pre-decided.
Wow, that's a powerful concept.
It is.
It's like he's saying we've been sleepwalking through life, letting others dictate our choices and our destiny.
Exactly. And then he connects this idea to the Virgo energy of the eclipse. That's why this eclipse is in Virgo. Virgo sees through the illusion. Virgo strips things down to their essence. Virgo doesn't believe in fate. It believes in work. This isn't about letting go. This is about taking back control of your destiny.
I love that.
Me too.
It's about, recognizing where we've given our power away and reclaiming it.
And then he dives into the South Node conjunction,
Okay.
saying what no one sees about the South Node conjunction, the unfinished deal. Most astrologers will tell you that the South Node represents the past, what you're leaving behind. They're only half right. Here's the missing piece. The South Node doesn't just show where you're stuck. It shows where you still owe a debt. Who do you still owe something to? What promise did you make in a past life that is still active? What contract, spoken or unspoken, have you never closed? This eclipse is that moment. It's not just a breaking point. It's a final settlement.
Okay, this is really interesting.
It is.
So he's saying that the South Node isn't just about releasing the past. It's also about resolving karmic debts, fulfilling obligations that have been carried over from previous lifetimes.
Exactly, and he takes it a step further,
Okay.
suggesting that if we don't consciously address these debts, they might be transferred to someone else,
What?
he says. And here's where it gets even deeper. If you refuse to pay your karmic debt, it won't disappear. It will transfer to someone else. Have you ever wondered why some people rise while others fall during eclipses? Why some seem to be stripped of everything while others suddenly ascend? Because eclipses are power exchanges. If you refuse to claim your destiny, someone else will.
So it's like there's this cosmic balancing act happening.
Yeah.
And if we don't step up and claim our power, someone else will step in and take it.
Right. And then he brings it all back to the personal level.
Okay.
This isn't just an eclipse in your relationship house. This is an inheritance battle over your own life. Will you take what is rightfully yours, or will you let someone else take your place?
This is getting really deep. It's like he's saying that we're not just, passive observers in our own lives. Right. We're active participants in a cosmic drama.
Exactly. And the choices we make during this eclipse will have a ripple effect.
Right.
Not just on our own lives, but on the lives of those around us.
Okay, what's next?
Lorenzo talks about the Uranus trine. The Uranus trine, the door no one notices until it's gone. Uranus is trining this eclipse, and every astrologer will tell you it brings unexpected changes. Again, only half right. What they're missing is that this is an unmarked door in a burning house. Uranus doesn't bring random chaos. It brings hidden exits. You are in a collapsing structure. The eclipse is burning down what no longer serves you. But there's one way out. Uranus is in Taurus, and Taurus is physical reality. This means the escape route is in the real world, not in your head.
Okay, I love that analogy.
Yeah.
The eclipse is like a fire burning away the old outworn structures in our lives. And Uranus is offering us a way out, a chance to escape the flames and start fresh.
And that escape route is grounded in reality.
Yeah.
In taking concrete actions and making tangible changes.
Right.
He goes on to say, a random conversation will contain the answer you've been waiting for. A sudden change in your daily routine will unlock something major. A place you've never been before will hold the key to your future. But here's the catch. If you ignore it, the door disappears. Most people will miss this. They'll be too caught up in the chaos, too obsessed with endings, too afraid to move. But if you see the door, you must run through it. Because after this eclipse, it will be gone.
This is both exciting and terrifying, isn't it?
It is.
Like we have to be hyper aware
Yes.
of the synchronicities and opportunities that are presenting themselves during this eclipse.
Right.
We can't afford to miss this chance.
Right. It's about being present, paying attention, and being brave enough to step through the door when it opens.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat. What else does Lorenzo have to say?
He introduces this really fascinating concept, the silent battle between Saturn and the Fool. Who wins? This is where tarot gives us a missing key that astrologers don't even know exists. Saturn in Pisces wants structure. It wants a plan. It wants discipline. The Fool, activated by Uranus, wants freedom. It wants a fresh start. It wants risk. These two are locked in a war. If Saturn wins, you will stay exactly where you are. If the Fool wins, you will start into an entirely different version of yourself.
Ooh, Saturn versus the Fool. That's a battle between fear and faith.
Yeah.
Between playing it safe and taking a leap of faith.
Exactly. And he says something really interesting. He says,
Okay.
but what no one realizes is that you aren't choosing between them. They're choosing you. Saturn will keep you if you still operate from fear. The Fool will take you if you surrender to faith. Who do you serve? Because by the end of this eclipse, one of them will own you.
Wow, that's deep.
It is.
It's like these archetypes, Saturn and the Fool, are vying for our allegiance.
Yeah.
And our choices will determine which one ultimately prevails.
And then he cuts through all the noise and brings it back to one essential question. The one question you must answer before the eclipse ends. Forget everything you've heard from other astrologers. Forget the idea of endings, transformation, or letting go. That's old news. There's only one question you need to answer during this eclipse. Who is writing my story now? If you aren't writing it, who is? If you aren't choosing your fate, who is? If you aren't taking the risk, who is? Because if you don't answer this question, someone else will. This eclipse isn't just about loss. It's about the biggest power shift of your life. And if you don't take control of that shift, someone else will step into your place. No one else is talking about this, but in a few weeks, you'll see it unfold.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Who is writing my story? It's a question we all need to ask ourselves,
Right.
not just during eclipses, but every single day.
Every single day. Because if we're not consciously creating our own lives,
Right.
we're letting someone or something else do it for us. And that can lead us down a path that doesn't feel authentic or fulfilling.
Exactly. Okay, so now that Lorenzo has laid out this hidden code of the eclipse,
Right.
what does he suggest we do about it?
He offers a section called Practical Anchor, How to Navigate This Eclipse with Power. He writes, "This is not just an eclipse to observe. This is a shift you must actively engage with. If you don't take control, the energy will take control of you. Here's exactly how to work with it."
Okay, I'm all ears. Give us the tools, Lorenzo.
First up, he gives us 1. The Power Reclamation Ritual, breaking free from old contracts. He writes, "If you've felt trapped in the same cycles, whether in relationships, work, or self-doubt, this eclipse is your contract termination date. How to do it. Write down the names of the people, situations, or beliefs that have been controlling your choices. Next to each one, write, 'I revoke my contract with you. My power is mine.' Burn the paper safely, fireproof bowl, outside, etc. As it turns to ash, say out loud, 'I reclaim my energy. What is mine returns. What is not mine dissolves.' Afterward, take a cleansing shower or bath with sea salt to reset your energy field. Why this works, this isn't just symbolic, it severs energetic ties. Karmic cycles can't continue if you consciously reject them.
Ooh, I love that. It's a powerful way to release those old patterns and reclaim your sovereignty.
And that cleansing bath with sea salt,
Right.
perfect for washing away any residual negativity and starting fresh.
Absolutely. Next up.
2. The Unmarked Door Exercise, Finding Your Hidden Exit Route. He writes, "Most people won't see the opportunity this eclipse is offering them. If you want to, you must actively look how to do it. For the next 72 hours, write down every unexpected message, idea, or interaction, every random place you feel drawn to visit, every spontaneous decision you feel pulled toward. Then ask yourself, what is the common thread? Somewhere in those moments, the hidden exit door will reveal itself." Why this works? The eclipse is creating a new path, but it won't be obvious. Only those who actively look will see it.
I love this exercise. It's all about being present, paying attention to the synchronicities and trusting your intuition.
And it reminds us that the path forward may not be obvious.
Right.
That it might require us to look beyond our usual patterns and expectations.
Okay, what's next?
Lorenzo offers 3. The Mirror Test. Who is writing your story? Writing. This eclipse is demanding that you reclaim authorship of your life. If you've been living by someone else's expectations, this will shake you awake. How to do it. Stand in front of a mirror and ask, whose expectations am I living under? Listen to your first instinct. That's the truth. Then say aloud, I release their influence. My life is my own. Watch yourself as you say it. Do you believe it? If not, repeat it until something shifts. Write why this works. The subconscious is exposed in the mirror. If there's resistance, it means you've been conditioned to follow someone else's script. Break it.
The mirror test is a classic.
Yes.
It's such a powerful way to confront those subconscious beliefs and patterns that have been shaping our lives without our conscious awareness.
And it's a reminder that we have the power to rewrite our own story.
Right.
To break free from the expectations of others and create a life that's truly our own.
Okay, 2 more to go.
Here's number 4. 4. The Eclipse Affirmation. Rewriting the program. Your mind has been programmed by past beliefs, but this eclipse is a chance to install a new code. Say this daily. Write it down too. I am no longer bound by the past. I write my own story. I claim what is mine. Why this works. Words create reality. The more you repeat something, the more your brain rewires itself to believe it. This isn't positive thinking. This is active reprogramming.
I love this affirmation.
It's powerful.
It's so empowering, and it reminds us that our thoughts create our reality.
Yeah.
So by consciously choosing the thoughts we want to focus on, we can literally reprogram our minds for success.
Last but not least, we have 5. The Fool versus Saturn Decision Test. Which path owns you? Lorenzo writes, this eclipse is putting you between 2 choices. Saturn, fear, comfort, restriction, versus the Fool, risk, faith, freedom. How to do it. 1. Write down a major decision you've been avoiding. 2. Underneath, list, what happens if I stay where I am? Saturn's path. What happens if I take the risk? The Fool's path. 3. Look at the Saturn path. Does it feel heavy, restrictive, and safe but suffocating? 4. Look at the Fool path. Does it scare you, excite you, and make you feel alive? Now ask yourself, which one do I want my life to be ruled by? Say on why this works. Your answer determines your future. If you do nothing, Saturn wins by default.
Ooh, this is good.
It is.
It's about getting clear on our values and priorities. You know, what do we truly want? Are we willing to step outside our comfort zone and embrace the unknown?
Yeah.
Or will we settle for a life of safety and stagnation?
And then he ends the report with this. Final word. Choose or be chosen for. This eclipse is not passive. It is a battlefield of fate. You either actively reclaim your power, break contracts, and claim your next chapter, or let the universe decide for you, and you may not like the result. The ones who step into the eclipse consciously will be the ones who rise. Pisces, this is your moment. Take it.
Wow, just wow. I think that sums it up perfectly.
It does.
This eclipse is a call to action, a time for making choices that align with our highest truth.
Yes.
And for stepping boldly into the unknown.
Lorenzo's report is, it's intense, it's challenging, and ultimately empowering.
It is.
He's not sugarcoating the challenges ahead, but he's also offering us a roadmap.
Right.
A set of tools to navigate this eclipse with grace and intention.
And remember, Pisces, this is just a general overview.
Right.
The way this eclipse plays out in your individual life will depend on your unique birth chart and the choices that you make.
So if you want to dive deeper into your own personal astrology,
Yes.
we encourage you to connect with a qualified astrologer.
Absolutely.
And in the meantime, keep exploring.
Keep questioning.
Keep questioning.
And keep diving deep.
That's it for today's deep dive. We hope you found it insightful and empowering.
We did too.
Until next time.